So you bring an image into Design Space and you want to upload it, but then you get hit with these two options. You can either cut a single layer that will just be a silhouette of your shape, or you can import it as a flat graphic for print and cut. What do you do when you want to cut out each color individually out of different color vinyl and layer it on something? For that, you're going to need the file in a different format. Subscribe to my channel for more Cricut crafting tips and let me know in the comments what kind of video you want to see next. Before we begin, let's talk about the file types. A PNG is an image file made up of pixels. So it's essentially tiny little squares. And the more you zoom in, the more you start to see those squares and you realize that it's not a smooth outlined shape. That's why the more you zoom in, the blurrier it gets, and PNGs are not images that can scale to any size. They're the perfect format for photos or graphics, anything with lots of color, gradients, but they're not the perfect format for cutting things out on your Cricut machine. So this is where SVG files come in. They're made of paths, not pixels, using mathematical points, so they can stay sharp at any size. And each color is saved as its own path. So each piece is its own shape. You can separate them, move them, change the colors, or remove anything. And what's relevant for us is that Cricut reads the paths, and that's what tells the machine where to cut. So when we want to import an image that we find in Google into Cricut to cut it into separate colored layers, we need our file to be in SVG format. So if we go back to the Cricut upload screen, if you're a Cricut Access subscriber, you'll have the option to choose Convert to Multiple Layers. So let's go ahead and try that out. Here we are, and on the side we can choose how many layers we want to convert it to. So we're going to want to get all our colors in there. But first of all, it doesn't have the option for you to choose which colors they are. So for example, in 5 layers, it's not giving me my white yet, but it's giving me 2 different shades of black. I have to go all the way down to 7 layers to get the white. And then if I take a look at my layers, they're not very accurate. They're extremely bitty. There's 2 black layers and neither of them is like nice and smooth and will give me a good outline. So I'm not a huge fan of this method. Luckily, there's an even better free alternative. I'm going to go to a website called PNG to SVG.com. This is what it looks like. You scroll down a little bit and you find the upload button where you choose a file. And here again, we need to choose our colors, but in this case, we can specify how many colors and what each of those colors should be. So with this eyedropper tool, we can pick and choose. Now I can go up to 7 colors and get the individual colors of the 2 mouth colors, but I'm not so concerned about those. I'm happy to have them just be 1 color, and I'll decide that later. So I'm going to go back down to 5, get the white, and now we have all the colors that we need, and then I'm going to hit generate, and here we have an image. Now the mouth looks odd because we didn't choose those colors, but that's okay. We're going to go to download SVG, and once that's downloaded, we can come into Cricut Design Space and upload that over here. And I'm going to show you there's a few things we might need to do to clean up the image and make it ready to use, but it's definitely in a better starting place than the Cricut Convert to Layers option. So here we are, and the first thing I'm going to do is ungroup it so we can see all the layers. So we have the yellow layer, and the black layer, and the white layer, the red layer, and then this kind of beige skin colored. Now the first thing I'm going to notice is the black layer looks perfect, like compared to what we saw before. It's smooth, it's clean, it has every part. The rest of the layers do look a bit messy, but we'll see soon with the next image. The pieces that we actually need are perfectly fine. There's just some extra bits that need cleaning up. But first I'm going to show you a different method. So I'm duplicating the black layer, and I'm going to go to Contour, hide all contours, and hit apply. So the contour tool allows us to pick and choose parts of an SVG that we want to show or not show. And in this case, I've hidden all the parts, so we just have a solid black base for our Mickey Mouse. And then we're going to go to the other one, and because all of the pieces of the image can be hidden or shown here, we can actually find all the colored layers that we want within just this piece. So here I've just selected his trousers. I'm going to turn them red, and then I noticed there's one small piece that I missed out. I'm going to bring in the original image on the side just so we can compare and make sure that we're selecting all the right pieces of the image. So here you can see that small red bit that I brought in now. Let's just resize this a little bit, and now we can layer that on top of our black base, and you can already see the image start to come together. So I'm just going to copy and paste that, go to contour again. This time we'll pick the face, and then we take out that eye hole, get rid of the red, and apply. And now we have the face, and all we need to do is change the color. And actually the reason why I kept all the other layers that we're not actually using for now is just so that we have those colors in our project, and it makes it very easy for me to pick the color that I need instead of having to go and figure out what color it is myself. And then once we're done, we can just delete those extra layers. I'm just gonna keep going and do this for all the different colors. Sometimes you have to zoom in to make sure you get all the little bits exactly right. I'm just following the reference image that I have on the left and picking out all the relevant parts of the image. So here I noticed that there's a little white speck under his arm that should probably be included. There's a couple small ones that I didn't feel were so necessary, but this one I went in and picked back out. So here I noticed that behind the white button we're seeing red, and that's because we never contoured that circle out of the red layer. So I'm gonna head in there and just zoom in so I can see exactly what we're working with. And we're going to contour out that whole circle and hit apply. And now we can see through to the black outline that we need. So that's the white layer done, and from here we just keep going. At this point I went back into the black layer to take out a piece between his legs. That is meant to be clear background. And now we're doing the mouth, which we didn't specifically pick in the PNG tool, but we can just contour them out of the background, and I just chose a plain pink color for both pieces. So he's looking pretty good now, but I did notice that some of the black outlines are slightly thicker on our version than on the reference image on the left. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is offset each of the colored layers a tiny bit so that the black behind them gets slightly thinner. So I'm going to take the offset layer and change the color to the face color, and then let's just bring that above our current image so we see it. And you see that the black has gone slightly thinner because the peach layer is now slightly larger. I'm just hiding the original layers just in case I want to keep them. I only delete stuff at the end when I'm sure I don't need it anymore. So now I'm doing the same thing and offsetting the mouth. And now the red bit, offset. 0.04 has been working, apply, change the color and drag it above. Now the same thing for the yellow layer, and now the same thing for the white layer. Now with the white one, 0.04 made it a bit too big and it closed up a few of the small details, so I deleted that offset and made a new one that was 0.02, and this one was perfect. Because we use this method of just using the black layer and then contouring out all the rest from it, technically when we did the original conversion we could have only used 2 colors like this and then brought that into Design Space and gotten rid of the yellow, and we would have had just that plain black to contour. The reason why I like to bring in the colors is simply so that I have the colors there to choose from to make my layers the right colors instead of having to try and match them to the reference image by myself. Now for part 2, we're going to find a Minnie Mouse, and I'm going to show you a slightly different way to use our image in Design Space. So let's save this Minnie, go back into PNG to SVG.com and upload the Minnie. And now we're gonna pick out the colors that we need. So we have the white, the black of course, the yellow, then we have the pinks, the peach, and again we're gonna leave the mouth colors and we'll just give them the same as Mickey. So give it a second to generate, download it, save it, and let's head into Design Space. And then we're going to ungroup Minnie and see what we have to deal with. So obviously the yellow layer we don't need, but now we're going to separate these layers. And instead of giving up on it because it looks like a mess, if we go into contour, we can see that the pieces that we need are actually there and perfect. There's just a ton of extra bits that we don't need. So what we can do is we can just contour out of each colored layer the bits that we want to keep and leave behind all the extra tiny pieces. So as you can see from the reference image up on screen, I'm just going through and picking out all the bits that need to be this light pink color. And then that's it. And suddenly, minus all those tiny pieces, it looks just fine. So that's the same thing with the dark pink. And it's easier to start by hiding everything and then pulling back in the things that you do want, rather than having everything there and having to try and click out on all those tiny pieces. So let's just get her shoes and her belt and zoom in just to make it easier to get the teeny tiny bits. But I think that's pretty much it. And that is our hot pink layer done. I noticed there was a tiny little light pink bit there that we don't need, so I went back in to get rid of that. And you can see the image is starting to come together. Now let's do the face. Hide everything and just click the face and then remove the eyes, nose and mouth bits from the inside. It's easier to do it on the side panel sometimes. And now we need the black layer, which I'm going to go and contour out so we have a solid black background layer. And then let's just bring the white layer up where it belongs. And everything there is perfect, so there's nothing there that we need to remove or get rid of. And I'm going to do the same offset that we did with Mickey, just to make the black lines be a tiny bit less thick. So same idea, offset, change the color, and then bring the layer up so we can really see it properly. But I noticed very quickly that the 0.04 was getting rid of a lot of detail on most of the colors, so I switched to the 0.02 that we had to use for the white layer on the Mickey. I tried again with the face, but the 0.04 got rid of her eyelashes a bit too much. So I went and dialed that back down to 0.02 as well. And that is Minnie done. You can see here we have all the individual layers as an SVG, and let's go have a look at what that looks like on the map. Oh, we're missing Minnie's mouth. So let's quickly duplicate the black layer and contour out her mouth and make it the same color as Mickey's mouth, give it an offset and get that into the right place. Here I can see that Minnie's face seems to have an extra tiny bit all the way to the left. That's why the box around it is so big. So I'm just gonna go in and contour, and yeah, there's a tiny little black dot that we want to get rid of. For some reason the two black layers came in a slightly different shades, so they're on different mats, but we can just go to those three dots, press move, and then move it onto the other mat so that we can cut them both out at the same time. Minnie's dress looks fine, dark pink looks great, and the red looks perfect. And that's it. If we go to make it now and hit continue and make it, and that's the process of turning a PNG into an SVG. As always, subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments what you want to see more of, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.